Welcome to the Michelle Mission, Two Men, One Podcast, every black film ever made. My name is Vincent Williams, and I'm joined as always by my partner.
Hey, what's up? Holla at your boy. This is Len, a.k.a. the Bat Tribble.
And on this stop, arguably a new black classic film.
Yeah.
Depending on who you talk to and how old they are. 1997's Good Burger, starring the comedy duo of Kenan and Kel. That would, of course, be Kenan Thompson and Kel Mitchell, as well as an appearance by Shar Jackson and Abe Vigoda. But before we get to Good Burger, what's going on, Lynn? How are you?
Well, I'm doing very fine, and I hope that each and every one of you are doing very well out there in the chat as we are streaming live to YouTube, Twitch, LinkedIn, as well as Facebook. And I see that Aaron Fry, George Kimona, among others, are chiming in. Hello to each and every one of you.
Good evening, one and all.
We're going to get deep into the show. We're going to off and running.
There's so much to unpack
about Good Burger.
About Good Burger.
Yes.
About Good Burger.
Yes. We don't want to hold the lettuce, but so long.
Right.
But first, there is just one little bit of news that I thought was worth mentioning. And that is the late Chadwick Boseman.
Yeah.
Was awarded a posthumous Emmy Award for his vocal performance in the What If TV series or Disney Plus.
Yeah.
Series.
It was nice. That was a nice little treat for those of us who miss Chadwick, which I think is like all of us. Now, did you watch What If?
I did.
And did you watch his episode?
I did. I'm trying to remember if he was in actually one or two.
He was actually in at least two.
Is it because he's in the one where he basically is Star-Lord,
right?
No, I don't think he is in two, because in the kind of like, quote unquote Avengers episode where all of the heroes of the What If episodes come together, it is actually Killmonger that comes in there.
I think he's in more than one. Because I remember it was a surprise to see him when he comes back.
Maybe he is, but he definitely isn't the star of another.
No, but it was, like you hear his voice. Because remember, it was a big deal about the What If episode. And then it was like, okay, and then you're going to hear a snippet of him.
Okay.
In this one too.
Okay. Yeah, and don't get me wrong, Chadwick Boseman, he was just as good as any of the other voice actors in that show. I'm glad that they were able to award this to him. I say it like that because I honestly feel like this is one of those let's give it to him because we didn't give it to him for Black Panther situations.
Absolutely.
So or for what was the Netflix movie Ma Rainey's Black Box. Yeah, Ma Rainey's Black Box. Yeah. So I think that's really along the lines of what this was, and I don't have any problem with
it. Yeah. And it is a neat little performance. Like it is when you think about like Black Panther was already an iconic performance. And then unfortunately, because he's died, it's taken on even more weight. But you have these two weird little side curios where you have him playing the character in What If. And then I also include his appearance on Black Jeopardy when Chadwick Boseman,
that's right.
Because he very much was T'Challa.
He was.
And talking about going deep on things that it doesn't seem like you would go that deep into. I read a couple of a couple of interviews about that episode. Those of you who didn't see it, Black Jeopardy was a recurring skit on Saturday Night Live, appropriately enough, with Kenan Thompson. And it is black stuff. And Chadwick Boseman hosted an episode of Saturday Night Live and played T'Challa on Black Jeopardy. And of course, hijinks ensue. But apparently there was a fair amount of thought that went into him reprising the character of T'Challa on Black Jeopardy. And he wanted to make sure that the integrity of the character was intact, because when he was, he understood just how important the character was. And as funny as his appearance is, it actually very much aligns with T'Challa.
Yeah.
So, between, Karen, I don't have potato salad, but somehow I know she's going to put raisins in it. And the appearance on What If, there, these nice little side things. So yeah, super happy about that.
Very happy, and fair wishes to the Chadwick Boseman family.
Yeah, and to the Black Panther family.
Yeah,
like
yeah. You know what?
Like it's so tough watching all of them talk about it, and in the Wakanda Forever trailer is like it's all just very weighty right now.
I didn't expect to go here. I actually was listening to a podcast last week. It's called The Town.
Okay,
with Matthew Bellamy, excuse me, and it basically is like a Hollywood news podcast. And I forget exactly what the episode was talking about. It wasn't talking about Black Panthers specifically. It actually, no, what it was talking about was, which stars under 30 they think had like a movie star in them.
Okay.
Right. And of all the stars that they were mentioning, they were going through quite a few. And they touched on Letitia Wright.
Okay.
Who is going to be, of course, in Black Panther 2.
Sure. Please, sure.
And he let out a little bit of a nugget that they tried to kind of like skate over.
Right.
But I think it was him having inside information and then trying to kind of like retcon that he let it out.
Sure.
Let it out the box.
Sure.
And only because they try to cover it over, I'm going to repeat it.
Okay.
Because in talking about whether or not they could see Letitia Wright being a movie star, because she is under 30, I think she may be like in her late 20s.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Very young.
He pointed out that, she's going to be coming off of Black Panther 2, and now she's going to be the Black Panther.
Oh.
And then like the other guy he's talking to says, well, we don't really know if she's going to be the Black Panther. And he's like, yeah, that's true. And I am repeating the pause that he had when he said that.
I mean, that's what the smart money is on.
Yeah.
That's what the smart money has always been on.
The smart money is on it, but he is a guy that if anyone had insider knowledge,
it would be him.
He would be the one.
Yeah. I mean, again, that's what the smart money's on. And those of us who actually, here's something crazy, read the comic books, know that this is comic accurate.
Right.
So,
right.
We shall see.
We shall see.
We shall see.
We shall see.
Fairly soon, too.
I know.
Fairly soon. It's so crazy.
I know.
It's September.
I know.
So,
no, I'm not gonna tell you.
All right.
All right, let's get right into the show.
Okay.
I see that other people are hitting us up in the chat. Deborah Battle is in the chat. Robert Monroe Jr., Camellia. Hello, each and every one of you and everyone else out there in the chat. We're going to get into the show. We're going hard and fast, and we're moving right into the top five.
Top five. Okay. Who's your top five? My top five is
top five, ladies and gentlemen. My top five list. This is my top five list. This is not Vincent's top five. This is not your top five. It's my top five.
Okay.
So it is not the definitive top five, but I like to think so. Anyway, tonight's top five, Vincent, we're reviewing Kenan and Kel.
Yes.
In Good Burger.
Good Burger.
So it made sense for me to do the top five Black comedy duos.
Oh, interesting.
Okay. All right. Now I think that I have created a definitive list.
Okay.
if for no other reason, there's not that many black comedy duos.
Well, I'm curious to see how you're going to define comedy duo.
Okay. All right. So we're going to start with number 5.
Number 5, top 5 black comedy duos.
Yes. And number 5, I think, is, universally seen as a duo.
Okay.
And at one time, universally loved.
Okay.
And that would, of course, be Bill Cosby and Sidney Poitier.
Absolutely.
The star of a trio of films.
Yes.
In the 70s, Uptown Saturday Night, Let's Do It Again, and A Piece of the Action.
Absolutely. In order.
Yes. With diminishing results.
Absolutely.
I think it's fair to say.
Yeah.
As the 3 films go on. And I also think that the results continue to diminish even further as their partnership continued into other movies starring Bill Cosby, directed by Sidney Poitier.
Absolutely. Also fair.
Right. But nonetheless, despite what, the troubled story that it is Bill Cosby, there is no, you can't deny that one, Uptown Saturday Night is a classic.
My desert island movie.
It's definitely close to being one of mine. And Let's Do It Again is a pretty solid film as well.
Yeah.
And the camaraderie, the chemistry between the two was unmistakable.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. So that's number 5.
That's a good duo. That's a good. I'm waiting to hear what 4 you think are better than the. Are these in ascending order?
These are in ascending order.
I can't wait to hear who you think is better than Poitier and Cosby.
All right. Well, then let's go to number 4.
Number 4,
which would be Kenan Kel.
Oh, interesting.
Now, I'm basing this only on movies. So Key and Peele maybe have a slight disadvantage because they've only really done one movie together.
Yeah.
Which was Keanu.
Yeah.
However, in Keanu, as uneven a movie as it is, it's a very uneven movie. Again, the chemistry that these two have with one another is on display in that film. I think that it's a film that still plays very much to their strength. I think that the biggest problem with Keanu is that it comes at the end of their show. And I think that as good as they both still are, they basically are, they're coasting a little bit. They're a little bit on vapors with one another.
They're very much going in different directions.
Yes.
The directions that, frankly, they've both landed.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Very well. Very well.
And I think the two of them have almost an extended cameo in the last Toy Story.
Oh, that's true.
Remember that?
That is true. That's right. That's right. They do.
But you're right. Not a lot of film work.
Not a lot of film work.
Yeah.
But I still rank them over Sidney Poitier and Cosby. And I think the reason I do is because as uneven a like their one film is uneven.
Right. Now, why are you just using films for this?
Well, I'm doing primarily films because we are a movie podcast.
Okay.
So that's why I'm doing films.
Yeah.
Because I mean, look, if we didn't leave it to films, they'd probably be number 1.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or close to it. But I still put them over Cosby because I think that if you took those 4 films, Let's Do It Again, Uptown Saturday Night, Piece of the Action, and Keanu, me, myself, maybe not anyone else agrees with me, but me, myself, I think Keanu maybe edges out Let's Do It Again just by a hair. Not by much, but just by a hair. Definitely Piece of the Action. And then I think the complication of the whole Bill Cosby story, that catapults them over.
Okay. All right.
Over them. I would, but if anyone else wanted to put them historically, put Cosby and Poitier over Key and Peele, I couldn't argue with him.
Okay.
But that is definitely a subjective
right. And again, once
mine.
you pull their television work in.
If you pull that in, then it's a no-brainer.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Number three.
Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and Kevin Hart. Now, this gets a little iffy only because there's an argument to be made that as much as there is African American in Dwayne Johnson's family, there's an argument to be made of which side does he identify more with. His black side or his, what is it, Polynesian or Samoan side. So there's an argument to be made which one he sides with. I'm not going to make that distinction.
Sure.
Because the fact of the matter is he does have black in his heritage. And as far as as far as I know, he's never denied it. He doesn't hide it in any way.
I don't think that's my argument would be I don't think they're funny.
Well, okay. You can maybe think that they're not that funny. Not that funny. I think
no, not that funny. I don't think they're funny.
Okay, do you
together?
All right. So you're saying you don't think they're funny together?
What is the film that they've made that is funny?
Well, I thought what was that one? It's a Critical Condition. I thought that wasn't bad. And I actually think they're good in the what are those the jungle, what's it? No, Jumanji movies. I thought they were funny in them.
All right.
But
I mean, look, you're not
say,
alone.
Say what you will. Somebody likes these.
A lot of people like
because these guys have done 5 movies
they
together.
Work together a lot, and I understand the physicality of them together. They've never ever done anything for me at all.
Well, don't get me wrong. I do, like, on the whole, I can probably count on one hand any Kevin Hart movie that I really, really like, because once Kevin Hart starts playing Kevin Hart, he kind of like, all right, I've seen this.
Right.
But I gotta get the people what they want, and they're in 5 movies. And people still
very
flock
successful
to them.
duo, and they seem like they like each other.
They seem like they like each other.
Yeah.
The movies that I have watched with them, they do bounce off one another well enough. You may not think they're funny. I think Kevin Hart makes The Rock funny, so it works. As funny as he's going to be, so it works for me.
All right.
So that's why I've got them at number 3.
Number 3.
All right. Number 2. Will Smith and Martin Lawrence. Okay. Undeniably, I mean, whatever you think of, whatever hits Kevin Hart and The Rock have, you cannot deny Bad Boys, Bad Boys 2, and Bad Boys 3. Almost 20 years later,
I know,
Bad Boys Forever. Still a huge hit.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And both of them, even at that point, probably far away from the apex of their career, yet they return together and make it work.
Yeah.
And you want to talk about chemistry bouncing off one another. You want to talk about someone who's able to soften the rougher edges of Martin Lawrence, because Martin Lawrence, a little bit of Martin Lawrence goes a long way. Martin Lawrence actually maybe kind of like knocking, a little bit off of the shoulders of Will Smith a little bit, there, and those two actually finding a way to fit on the screen, especially in Bad Boys 2, where it can be argued that Will Smith is so far on the rise that he easily could have just, totally like dwarfed, eclipsed Martin Lawrence, yet they still very much are equals in that film, and they return still as equals in Bad Boys 3.
Yeah, I love them together. Yeah, I completely agree with this.
So so there you go.
I wish they would have worked together more in that period between
the two.
Yeah, like I wish they would have done other projects besides the bat. Like, I wish they would have done like The Rock and Kevin Hart are doing.
Yeah, but I think that I do think that if you put them in something else, you run the risk of it just being Bad Boys at the airport.
No.
Because they're going to be
right.
playing pretty much the same
like
chemistry.
I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing.
Well,
how do you feel about Money Train?
Money Train, Wesley Snipes and
the
Woody
other
Harrelson.
Wesley Snipes, Woody Harrelson film.
It's been a while since I've seen it.
Right.
I remember it being a little uneven,
but it was the same thing.
Yeah,
like they had such wonderful chemistry in White Men Can't Jump, and then they just said, "Well, let's just put them in
run it back." Yeah,
right. And I like that.
Yeah, I
like that. Like I don't like Kevin Hart and Dwayne Johnson, but I like how they're just building things off of the chemistry.
Yeah, okay, I hear you, but like the difference is, okay, Money Train works because let's just run it back. But it also works because it's not White Man Can't Jump 2.
Right.
The difference with Will Smith and Martin Lawrence is there is Bad Boys 2. Okay. So then if you put them in something else, now you've already you definitely have set the template.
Got you.
You know what I mean? So that's why I don't think it necessarily would have worked.
All right.
You know what I mean? Like, and this is going like in the white realm, but Ben Stiller and Owen Wilson, they are in Zoolander, but they're opposites in Zoolanders. Yet the next time they're together, now they're a team in Starsky and Hutch.
Right.
You know what I mean? So you're seeing, so there is their chemistry, but at least it's in a different setting and different characters,
right?
A different kind of relationship with one another, you know? So I don't know if they could, it would have been interesting if they maybe tried to do something like that with Will Smith and Martin Lawrence, because I think Will Smith is good enough of an actor who might have been able to pull that off.
Right.
But I don't know.
Right.
I don't think that would have been the inclination.
Right.
So anyway.
All right.
Now, before I get to my number one,
okay.
I'm going to go to an honorable mention that I don't have a graphic for, but people are probably, and I see that there are like tons of, comments in the chat that I'm not looking at yet.
Okay.
But I would imagine that more than a few of them are mentioning this one duo.
Okay.
And the duo would be Eddie Murphy and Arsenio Hall.
Yes.
And the reason why I'm not putting them here is because while they have done films together, I don't feel that in any of those films are they on equal footing.
I agree.
The most equal they are is in probably Coming to America.
Right.
And even then, they're still not on equal
footing.
It's
just, not to jump the gun on that, but Eddie Murphy is really just doing this for everybody else.
Yeah. Yeah.
Daddy, tell us that joke one more time. All right. I'll tell the joke one more time.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. So that's the reason why I didn't put them on this list.
Okay.
All right. Now, but my number one. Again, a duo, classic duo. Excuse me. One moment. All right. Sorry. I'll edit that out. All right.
Fix it in post.
My number one duo. Classic duo. Only one film together.
Interesting.
However, their chemistry, their camaraderie, their team is so stellar, so classic, that almost every Black comedy duo ever since, it's trying to remake this pairing,
emulating them, and that would be
Ice Cube and Chris Tucker
from
Friday.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Every single, The Rock and Kevin Hart, Will Smith and Martin Lawrence, who probably maybe come closest to pulling it off.
Yeah.
But even then,
Ice Cube and Mike Epps.
Well, look, Ice Cube spends the rest of the Friday series, with Mike Epps, God bless him. But everybody's tuning into those movies, waiting for Chris Tucker to walk through the building.
Yeah.
He's off kung fu fighting with Jackie Chan.
Yeah.
And quiet as kept.
They're trying to recreate.
They're looking for Ice Cube to show up over there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's a perfect one.
Look, and of all of these, there is not one duo that I do not return to more than Ice Cube and Chris Tucker in the first Friday movie, and not one duo. And even still, I just cherish that whole hour and a half that I'm spending with them. Yeah, it's so funny, so classic, such a beautiful pairing. Yeah, it's a good list, and that's why that's my number one black comedy. All right, duo. All right, there you go. Ice Cube and Chris Tucker. Ice Cube and Chris Tucker. Maximus Prime hit us up on YouTube. Did anybody hear about Denzel and Will were supposed to make an Uptown Saturday Night remake? They've been saying that for almost 15 years at this point. Yeah. I don't. Well, first of all, they're both too old now. Yeah, way too old. Yeah. And quiet as kept. I don't know if I would want to see either of them. Yeah, in Uptown Saturday Night. I don't think they pull it off. Yeah, I don't think. I don't think. But I have heard that for years. Them talking about it, but I don't think it will ever happen. No, it's sort of like Eddie Murphy has said for 20 years that he wanted to make a movie with all the black comedians. Mm-hmm. Like one of his dream projects was to make a black Ocean's 11. But I just think schedules and egos, maybe not in that order, keeps stuff like this from happening. Okay, so I'm going to the chats real quick. Okay, just to be fair to all of our listeners. Maximus Prime is throwing in Sean and Marlon Wayans. That's a solid one. Well, yes, because they've done movies. Yeah, that's a solid. Well, you want to talk about not funny? Yeah, I don't find the two of them together particularly funny. Yeah, because I don't. The quiet is kept. I don't think Sean Wayans is talented. Oh, at all. I think he's good with Mar. I think they have. Well, I mean, they're brothers. Okay, yeah. So he plays. I think they have good. I think he's a good straight man for Mar. Now, I don't know if I'm saying he's not talented, just nicer. Yes, that's exactly what you're saying. Because Marlon is talented. Oh, Marlon is. He's probably the most talented Wayne. He may be. Yeah, he may be. Or definitely challenging Damon. But I think he has more range than Damon. Okay, but I'm just talking about overall talent because Damon was a good stand-up, right? And I don't know how. Yeah, Damon is a. I would dare say he's a great stand-up. No, I'm not going to go there, but he's a good. I think he's a good stand-up, and he's a solid movie actor. Yeah, he's a solid movie directed right. Yeah, but I think Marlon. No, but Marlon. I think as far as acting chops, Marlon can eat them all. Yeah, the irony is I think his stand-up is the weakest card he has. Well, yeah, I think that's more him just trying to I gotta do some stand-up because I'm a Wayans. They want me, so right. they wrote a check. Yeah. But yeah, so no, I can't coincide for Sean and Marlon Wayans. Don't Be a Menace is always funnier than I remember it is. Yeah, but is it funnier because of the two of them or because of everything that's happening around them? I'm gonna give Marlon his flowers. Well, no, Marlon. I'm sorry. I'm gonna give Sean his flowers. For that. Okay, all right. Yeah. If you say so. I might be done with my, but I do. I like Sean Wayans and Don't Be a Menace. Maximus Prime is also saying that his last pick would be Kid and Play. I mean, House Party is classic. Is there anyone you take off this list for Kid and Play? Because I'm willing to hear the argument of taking somebody off the list. It's highly subjective, and obviously the objective metric of sales
I can't fight it. But I would take every Kid and Play movie over every Kevin Hart The Rock movie.
Well, that's not true.
Well, I mean, look,
you're not going to take Class Action. Over.
I will take Class Act.
When's the last time?
Bizarre. Like, it's the weirdest damn movie. I think Class Act, and here's that damning with faint praise word, is more interesting than any of the polished sort of Hollywood product that Kevin Hart and The Rock make.
George Cremona is correcting me. It wasn't Critical Condition. It was Central Intelligence was the one that was, I think, actually is not bad with The Rock and Kevin Hart.
Right. The Rock is the superhero, and Kevin Hart gets caught up in the hijinks and does Kevin Hart stuff, and then The Rock like picks him up and tucks him under his arm.
I like it.
Yeah. Look, again, I'm in the minority on this.
I gotta dig it.
Yes.
I gotta dig it. I'm sorry. And MF Deuce, can we include Billy Crystal and Gregory Hines? Because Billy Crystal is basically black. You know what?
Well, we're not doing basically black.
Well, okay, but here's the question though. I honestly don't know.
It's a great movie
though, because we're talking about Running Scared. Yeah, which is actually a great movie.
Yeah.
I don't know, what is Billy Crystal's ethnicity.
I think he's a New York Jewish guy.
That's what I thought too. But he definitely. I mean, he's colored.
I think he's a New York Jewish guy. So
but
he's a Semitic stock.
Okay.
So he.
I just didn't.
Brown.
I never knew what his
hair tends to be curly, but yeah, I don't think Billy Crystal has ever said something about being anything other than what he is.
No.
Right.
I hear you.
Very funny.
I hear you. Let's see.
And Running Scared is actually on my list of films to do.
What? Okay, we haven't done that yet.
No, we haven't. No, we have not.
Jay Marie is pointing out. Yes, I know he's Jewish. I just didn't know if he identified as colored. That's all.
No,
I didn't know.
I think this is the first time in the history of Billy Crystal.
I mean, does he identify as a white guy, or is he just identified Jewish?
No, I think he very much is. I think he's very proud of, and he very much acknowledges that kind of Borscht Belt.
No, Jewish.
Right, where he's from. Right. Like, I don't think Billy Crystal is not like one of the people in the Adam Sandler song, where Adam Sandler's Hanukkah song, where you just found out they were Jewish because they're an Adam Sandler song. Like, I think Billy Crystal that's always been part of his identity. I mean, Mr. Saturday Night, that's the whole deal.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah. Anyway,
I'm always ever talking about Running Scared, though.
Me too.
You gotta do Running Scared.
Jay Marie says the man ain't colored. All right, he's not colored.
No, he's not.
Okay, I don't know.
Right.
I don't know. I mean, MF Deuce said he's basically black, and he is basically black and Running Scared. I don't know.
Look,
it's weird. Anyway, so that's my top 5.
All right.
I didn't think it was gonna go that long.
Look.
Sorry. All right. It's time for.
That's the key. Why you would be surprised what a person can do with just a sensitive touch and a sensitive sound.
6 Degrees of D'Urville Martin, ladies and gentlemen, where Vincent will attempt to get to an actor of my selection in 6 movies or less from 70s superstar D'Urville Martin.
A comedy duo in and of himself.
Yes, definitely his mustache is. Okay, Vincent, do you want Dead or Alive?
Dead or Alive?
Yes.
Interesting.
From the world of sketch comedy into movies.
The world of, so it's a theme.
Well, yes, someone who has moved from the world of sketch comedy
I
into
will go
movies.
with
Dead.
And then I'll end on Alive.
Okay.
All right.
So in 6 movies or less, Vincent.
6 movies or less.
Get from D'Urville Martin.
D'Urville Martin.
to the late Phil Hartman.
Oh, Phil Hartman.
Mm-hmm. But you didn't think I was going there.
Interesting. So now I have to think about what movie Phil Hartman was in before his untimely passing.
He was in quite a few, actually.
And
made quite a mark in films, even though he, of course, is historically known for his run on Saturday Night Live,
sure,
and then on News Radio, the sitcom.
Yeah, my problem with Phil Hartman is that it bleeds into my Will Ferrell early Saturday Night Live stuff. So what was Phil Hartman in that I can pinpoint?
He wasn't on Saturday Night Live with Will?
No. I'm thinking about comedians who then moved into and a lot of the Phil Hartman stuff would be obviously in the late 80s, early 90s.
Mm-hmm.
What was Phil Hartman in that I really liked?
George Kimona said, Phil Hartman, this just got dark.
Who was I talking to about? I was just talking about Phil Hartman a couple of weeks. Oh, right. And I realized that I still haven't read Live from New York. Phil Hartman. See, the problem is I'm having a brain fart.
Do you have Live from New York?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's sitting on my shelf. I just haven't read it.
I'm about to say, because you could borrow it.
I just haven't read it. All right. Phil Hartman is in that I want to talk about.
He's in one of your favorite movies that you love to talk about.
What?
I'm not going to tell you.
I'm having a brain fart. I really can't get Will Ferrell out of my head. Wait. Phil Hartman is in Jumpin' Jack Flash, isn't he?
I believe, yes.
Okay. Well, there you go. I'll use that because I really can't remember.
Which is not the movie I was thinking of.
No. I know it's not. I was just like, I really am having a brain fart.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But, all right. Derville Martin. Derville Martin is in Derville Martin is in I just said he was.
Stay tuned after this game, ladies and gentlemen, because we have an important announcement for you about next week's show.
Okay. All right. Derville Martin. Okay. Derville Martin is in Guess Who's Coming to Dinner? No. Derville Martin is in Foxy Brown. No, Sheba is in Sheba Baby.
Sheba Baby.
With
Pam Grier.
Pam Grier is in Grease Lightning with Richard Pryor.
Mm-hmm.
Richard Pryor is in Which Way Is Up with Margaret Avery.
Okay.
Margaret Avery is, of course, in The Color Purple with Whoopi Goldberg, who is in Jumpin' Jack Flash with Phil Hartman.
Very good.
But that's a real dirty way to get to him. What is the Phil Hartman movie that I know you're going to say that I know I forgot?
CB4.
Oh, I forgot he's in CB4.
Yeah.
What else? What was his big movie?
Well,
he was always like bit part.
Yeah,
he was always
the
on
thing
the
was
side.
he was always like kind of like the bit part. So he's never really like the lead. But he's in, and I'm going to go in chronological order. He is, of course, in Pee-wee's Big Adventure. And I'm just going big movies.
Right. I completely forgot.
Jumpin' Jack Flash, of course. He's not super big in it, but he's in Three Amigos.
Yeah. I'm actually not feeling bad about this.
He's in Quick Change, which is the underrated movie.
Yeah.
That's the Bill Murray movie. Then he shows up in Coneheads, We're talking about Saturday Night Live movies, and he's actually good.
I actually remembered Coneheads, but Coneheads was kind of a dead end for me.
Yeah,
because I didn't know who else was in there.
Then he's in House Guest, Jingle All the Way. Remember the Arnold Schwarzenegger movie?
Yeah, I don't remember.
He's the neighbor.
I don't remember him in these movies. I don't feel as bad as I felt 10 minutes ago.
And then he's in Small Soldiers, which was actually released after his passing.
Right,
he passed in '98, I believe.
Yeah, he's not. Yeah, Phil Hartman is surprisingly difficult.
Yeah.
If we hadn't to watch Jumpin' Jack Flash, I don't think I would have remembered he was in that.
Mm-hmm. He's in Fletch Lives, which it's not good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely made more of his bones in TV, but he made a mark.
I mean,
and the thing is, he actually was on his way.
Right.
Because Jingle All the Way, he definitely like stands out in that film.
Right.
And he was on his way to like kind of like the talk was he was going to transition out of news radio.
Well, and you know, we'll talk about this a little bit with Good Burger. I think I always like the Saturday Night Live players who are the utility men.
Mm-hmm.
Like I love the actors that kind of hold it together.
The glue.
And Phil Hartman, in my mind, that's what made him so great on Saturday Night Live.
Mm-hmm.
Like just even you look at his film career, a lot of times he wasn't out front, but he really was the engine that kind of kept all the pieces moving. So,
all right. You ready for a live?
Yeah, because Dead was hard.
That was hard. This one may be a little harder, but something tells me you're going to knock it out the box.
You believe in me?
I believe in you.
All right. Who's alive?
Get from Derville Martin. to Leslie Jones.
Oh, Leslie Jones. Yeah, you can get to her a couple of ways.
I only need one.
Okay. I mean, you know, let's keep it black. Derville Martin is in I'll start the same way. Derville Martin is in Foxy Brown with Pam Grier, who's in Grease Lightning with Richard Pryor, who's in Harlem Nights. No. Who's in Harlem Nights with Eddie Murphy, who's in Boomerang with Chris Rock, who's in, here you go, Lynn, Top 5 with Leslie Jones.
Very good.
Yeah, but so Leslie Jones is in that. I'm saying there's a couple ways to get to her, but now that I'm thinking about it,
not too many.
Right, because there's no, like, everybody in Ghostbusters is sort of, they're all kind of fairly new actors. I guess I could go, isn't Chris Hemsworth in
he could get there.
I could get there with the Marvel slush. But besides that, what else has she been in movie-wise?
Well, it wasn't released to theaters technically, but we would definitely cover it. She was in Coming to America.
She's in Coming to, and she's good in Coming to America.
Yeah,
like she's one of the people in Coming to America who's actually awake. Like she's actually doing it a little bit.
Yeah, I gotta reach out. Reminds me, I gotta reach back out to Simone and see if we can't get her on the schedule.
She's so
busy.
She's so busy.
I know.
Big.
We're trying to hold out that film for her.
Famous.
I know. She may have eclipsed us.
I was about to say, like, I'm annoyed she doesn't have time for us, and then I'm just so happy for her that she doesn't.
She may no longer be in our reach.
Yeah, right. So
we may have to get their dog.
Right.
What's their dog's name again?
How would I remember that?
You remembered it longer than I did.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Anyway.
Very
good, Vincent.
Yes, sir.
Very good. I appreciate that. Well done. You got to Leslie Jones.
Yes.
And to Phil Hartman.
Yes.
That's the Derville Martin game, ladies and gentlemen. And hey, if you have an actor that you want Vincent to try and get to,
step into the arena.
Yes.
It's not just a Gangstar album.
feel free to email us. Email us your actors for the 6 Degrees of Derville Martin to michellemission@gmail.com. All right. Just as simple as that. We take on all comers.
Yes.
Vincent is ready for all. All right. Let's get into our review, Vincent, of Good Burger. But first, this very special announcement. We're giving each and every one of you out there listening to my voice a heads up that next week here on the Micheaux Mission, Vincent and I are not only going to review, we are going to go deep. We are getting real deep into the 2022 film Honk for Jesus, Save Your Soul.
Yes.
And the reason why we're getting so deep into this film is twofold. One, because this is a film that apparently has sparked a great deal of conversation.
Yes.
On the interwebs.
Yes.
That we want to get into. And two, because this is a film that has sparked a great deal of conversation in our text messages.
I was about to say, in Team Michelle.
Vincent has never asked for a specific piece of promotional material. He has never demanded that our social media director and our co-producer watch the film too. Vince has never sent a text message after 11 p.m. Hey, we doing Honk for Jesus. Hold up. I'm changing up everything that we're doing this month.
This is all true. This is all. There's only one image that can be on the promotional material. If you've seen the film, you know the image I'm talking about.
Yes.
If you haven't seen the film and then you see the film, you'll know the image that I'm talking about.
Yes. Yes. And it will be the image that will adorn all of our promotional material.
Yes.
Because I ain't messing with it. Vincent said it had to be, so it had to be.
Yes. So please join us next week.
Please. Please join us.
Lynn made a special flyer.
Just for Vincent. Just for Vincent. I'm surprised that you didn't just say, like, yo, I don't care about Good Burger. I want to do this movie. No. But to be fair, this movie just came out this weekend, so we wanted to give everybody time to see it. And that's why we're giving you the heads up.
Right. We're going to do some weird. It has a limited run in the theaters, which is why it falls under our purview.
Right.
But it is also playing on Peacock Plus.
Yes. Yes.
Y'all know how I don't really like free advertising.
No, we don't. But we had a couple of spare email addresses, so we quickly signed up for Peacock. Well, I don't know how you did it.
Easy.
What? I did what everybody does.
All right.
I do what everybody does.
All right. So yes, next week we will talk about.
Is there anything else you're watching on Peacock?
I liked Bel Air. I did. I enjoyed Bel Air.
Okay. Are you still paying for Peacock?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm not.
All right. All right. All right. So next week. But now that's next week.
That's next week.
Now we're gonna get deep into Good Burger.
The Good Burger. All right. But first it's time for trailer talk, where we talk about stuff that is not going to make the show. And Jay Marie is mentioning that I Knew Jingle All the Way wanted Sinbad in that. Yes, Sinbad was in Jingle All the Way.
Wow. Jay Marie with the Jingle All the Way knowledge.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't remember Jingle All the Way?
I have no memory of this film.
It's Sylvester. I mean, I keep saying Sylvester Stallone. Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Is that the one where he has to find the
action figure,
and then he dresses up as at the end, like the action figure?
Yeah, and he's going against Sinbad. They're both trying to get it for their kids.
I vaguely remember this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's, I mean, you know, it's when Arnold Schwarzenegger thought he could do everything.
Right. Well, he was making that concerted effort to counter program. And
yeah, and it's not a bad movie.
I mean,
It's all right.
I think Arnold Schwarzenegger has a surprisingly solid filmography. So,
yeah.
I really do. Like, I think there are very few duds, like actual, this is aged terribly.
Well, no, a lot of it, more than a few of his films have aged bad. For some of the
Which ones?
Commando.
I think Commando is solid.
Yeah,
I think Commando is a solid Rambo riff.
I think Commando's dumb.
I think of dumb big muscle man in the jungle movies.
No, the Commando's not in the jungle.
I thought he's in the jungle in Commando.
That's Predator.
No, I know it's not Predator.
No, Commando is he's in the city. Commando, he's in the city, and he's you think he's in the jungle because he's blowing up whole houses, but no, he's in the city in Commando.
What's the other in the jungle movie?
I don't know.
That's not Predator.
I don't know what you're talking about.
It's just like Predator, but it's obviously not an alien.
I have like absolutely no idea what you're talking about.
I thought Commando was in the jungle. All right, anyway, but yeah, like I think Arnold Schwarzenegger has a surprisingly solid filmography to be such an 80s guy.
Yeah, well, he definitely has a better filmography than Sylvester Stallone.
Yeah.
Have you watched Samaritan on Amazon?
I have not.
Me neither.
I have not.
But I keep saying I'm going to watch it, and then I find something else to watch.
Yeah.
So I haven't watched it.
It's kind of like we were talking a little bit about the new Game of Thrones and the new
good, you brought it up,
Lord of the Rings, and how I don't really have any expectations. So these sort of deconstructed superhero stories, like I'll get to them at some point.
I am loving Game of Thrones.
You're loving it.
I am. Well, maybe it's because I like returning to this world.
Right.
I like returning to this world. I like returning to this family. They sucked me right in. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's a gorgeous show. It's smart storytelling.
Wow, this is a robust.
I really am enjoying it. And maybe it's because it definitely is bringing member berries of the first few seasons of Game of Thrones, because historically Game of Thrones did not end well the last 2-3 seasons maybe. But I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying the hell out of Matt Smith in it.
Yeah.
All of the actors. I think I'm really in it. Really am enjoying it. Conversely, I'm finding the Lord of the Rings, the Rings of Power, is that
sure?
Which I think is a horrible title.
Yeah, sure.
I'm finding it. It's just so serious.
Look, man, we spent all this money.
I understand.
We spent all this money on this show.
Yes.
You're going to sit and you're going
to count the gold leaf.
You're going to sit here and watch every moment. We're going to spend time. You're going to look at these costumes.
Yeah, but
you're going to look at this makeup.
They spent as much money as they did on Lord of the Rings as on Game of Thrones.
Oh, I think they spent more.
Okay, maybe they spent a little bit more, but I think the attention to detail is every bit there on Game of Thrones, and yet it just feels, the world feels so much more lived in. Like we were talking before we started recording, that you felt both of these shows. Well, you brought it up. I was waiting for you to bring it up.
You're actually adorable right now.
Like you felt like both of these shows were a little bit of like Game of Thrones, Lord of the Rings cosplay.
Yeah.
I don't feel like that with Game of Thrones. The House of the Dragons, to be fair, the title of the show. Rings of Power definitely feels like cosplay a little bit. Right. It just feels so, like I said, it's just so serious. And don't get me wrong, they're both shows are borrowing off of the legacies of their predecessors.
Sure.
But I think House of the Dragons while borrowing off of it and even using the same theme music. I think is quickly trying to develop its own identity.
Okay.
Whereas the Rings of Power, I think, can't help but still feels like it's trying to find an identity because it feels very much of like a continuation of what's before, but just not as well done.
Based on the appendices of Tolkien, like they really did stitch something together to make the new Lord of the Rings. So I mean, all right. I'm glad you're enjoying it. I mean, I know we got a deep conversation ahead of us.
We do.
With Good Burger.
We do.
But is there anything else you need to share with the intimate audience of the live recording?
Well, Farrell Blackwell is pointing out that Rings of Power is for a PG-13 audience, while House of Dragon is definitely for grown-up R-rated folks.
Grown R.
Fair enough.
Right. I see. Even in the first episode, they already got kitty marriage. So,
of what are you talking about? House of Dragon?
Yeah.
That's not the takeaway from the first episode, though.
Right.
Did you finish the first episode?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because there's a different takeaway from the first episode.
I mean, that's the part that bothered me the most.
The kitty marriage?
Yeah, kitty. Yeah, when Dew sent his daughter in there with the king, I was like, oh boy, Game of Thrones is always going to Game of Thrones. Oh, there goes Game of Thrones, Games of Throning.
Well, first of all, if that upsets you, wait till you see episode 2.
Look, man, Game of Thrones. As soon as I saw some little girls, I said, up.
In episode 2, there is actually a scene that will skeeve you out.
Look, it's Game of Thrones.
It will skeeve you out. And now they get away with it.
Yeah, well,
but it'll skeeve you out.
Yes.
Anyway, Aaron Fry also points out that in regards to Commando, Arnold was in Florida for the first 50 minutes of the film, but was on an island to save his daughter for the last 35 minutes. So maybe that's the part you're talking about.
When he wouldn't make it like booby traps and stuff. Like in Predator, like it was sort of like Predator.
I don't remember him making a
had on like the olive colored tank top, and then he was carving things.
I don't think
big knife.
I don't know if he was he carving things in that.
I thought it was. Look, maybe I don't know.
I don't really remember to that degree.
Well, the bad thing is part of the reason I don't watch Commando is like when I had that itch for Arnold Schwarzenegger in the swamp, I just go to Predator. I just go to Predator.
Exactly. So there you go.
Bleeds, we can kill it.
Would you go to Predator now, or would you go to Prey?
I still have not seen Prey.
What is your problem?
I know.
Stop watching Lord of the Rings
and go watch Prey.
Go watch Prey.
You know what? That's probably not a bad idea.
No, it's the right idea.
It's probably not a bad idea. Okay.
It's the right idea.
Yeah.
That's your assignment for next
week. That's my assignment to go watch Prey.
Watch Prey.
All right, before I watch Honk for Jesus for a third time.
Jesus.
Save your soul. Come on, let's go. Let's talk about Good Burger.
Let's go on to Good Burger.
Let's talk about Good Burger. Good Burger. A 1997 comedy directed by Brian Robbins and written by Dan Schneider with Kevin Coppolo and Heath Seafield. Stars Kenan Thompson and Kel Mitchell, based on the comedy sketch of the same name from the Nickelodeon series All That, about the fast food restaurant called Good Burger, where Kenan and Kel both work and get into hijinks one summer. Directed by Brian Robbins, written by Dan Schneider, released in 1997, starring Kenan Thompson, Kel Mitchell, Shar Jackson, and Abe Vigoda. Good Burger was the choice of Lynn Webb. Lynn, what can we take from Good Burger?
Well, when you say what can we take?
Yes.
I know you don't mean it this way.
As a people.
Okay. Oh, well, as a people.
As a culture.
All right. Well,
as podcasters.
Okay. Well, as podcasters,
as
I
black
don't
men.
Well, okay. All right.
In the autumn of the American civilization.
Oh, Jesus. I thought you were going to say in the autumn of our days, which was, you want to talk about dark. Oh, jeez, God, what are you doing? I just want to go to bed now. I think the interesting thing about this film is that I had never seen this movie.
Mm-hmm.
But it is a film that has lived on in my memory because of how inescapable the commercial was for it at the time that this came out.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that it's primarily because when it came out in 1997, I was still, living hand in hand with my daughter, who was definitely in that age group.
Right.
For Kenan and Kel, everything Nickelodeon. So it was always on the television.
Mm-hmm.
This is days of, the height of cable television. So she was watching Nickelodeon.
Sure.
And there was the Good Burger commercial, welcome to Good Burger, may I take your order? And it's just lived on in my head.
Mm-hmm.
But I never saw the film. Thankfully, her mother took her to see the film. I did not have to suffer through that. But
that's why it's good to have two parents.
Yes.
Right. Tag off.
That's right. But in the succeeding years, having watched the careers of Kel Mitchell and Kenan Thompson and watch how they have gone and slowly diverge from one another.
Mm-hmm.
I always thought it might be an interesting, experiment to see how they operated as a team.
Yeah.
I loosely remember watching them over my daughter's shoulder.
Sure.
When she would watch Kenan and Kel
mm-hmm.
and watch the TV series, all that. They were younger, they were kids.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Really. They're probably like on both of those shows, like between 16 and 18 years old. When they do Good Burger, they're both, I think, either 19 and 20.
Yeah. They're still really young. And
they're still very young. But they're nearing the end of their run.
Yeah.
As Kenan and Kel.
Yeah.
They grew up through the Nickelodeon sketch comedy show that was All That,
mm-hmm.
and then succeeded off of there onto their own show.
Yeah.
Kenan and Kel.
Yeah, spun off.
So they were coming to the end of their comedic run, as it were, much in the way that Keanu spelled the kind of like the end of the Key and Peele team up. So returning to this film, it was not watching them in the heights of their powers, but it's still watching them still very much, probably near the apex of their union together. Mm-hmm. So I was interested to see how this was going to work. Now, I also recognize that this was a teen movie, yes. 1997. It was made decidedly for the Nickelodeon audience.
Absolutely.
So me, 55 years old, watching this film, I got to remember this is not made for me.
Exactly.
This is not going to hit me the same way.
Absolutely. It's not designed to.
And it's not designed to.
Right.
So I was interested in what did the teenager of the day think of this film. Mm-hmm. Well, fortunately, I had a teenager of the day, my daughter Olivia, who I reached out to ask her
field work.
I did, to ask her what did she think of the team of Kenan and Kel, as well the film Good Burger.
Mm-hmm.
In regards to Kenan and Kel, she said their show was pretty much the same. Kenan was coming up with a crazy get-rich scheme, and Kel would just kind of follow along as his dopey sidekick. And in Good Burger, which was the normal Nickelodeon teen movie, lots of misunderstanding situations, physical gags that worked. I love the movie.
Okay.
That's exactly what she wrote.
Sure.
So, which means that Good Burger on its surface, at least for the teenager that I knew, it worked.
Yeah, no doubt.
So therefore, who am I, as much as I wear the cape of the destroyer of dreams, who am I to destroy my daughter's dreams of Good Burger?
You're not a monster.
I'm not a monster. But I am,
however.
I am a man that knows a bad movie when he sees it.
Okay.
And this is a film that is, almost bit for bit, line for line, suffers from the plague of all films that are born of a sketch from a TV show.
Sure.
Whether it be a Nickelodeon show like All That, whether it be a more historically successful sketch show like Saturday Night Live.
Right.
Almost all of these films, when they take the sketch and they blow it up at large, you realize a little goes a long way.
You understand why they're sketches.
Exactly. And in this film, Good Burger, that is ultimately what dooms this movie. The plot of this movie is as simple as any Nickelodeon movie is going to be. Kel Mitchell plays Ed, who works at a fast food place called Good Burger, along with Shar Jackson and a few other actors, including Dan Schneider, the writer of this film, who plays the manager at Good Burger.
Should probably put a pin in Dan Schneider.
Let's put a pin in him. Good Burger is just a typical fast food joint, but across the street, there is going to be the Disney of burger joints is about to open Mondo Burger.
An evil burger empire.
An evil burger empire serving the Enormo Burger, which is this huge steroid hockey puck of a burger that they are serving to the delight of the people in the town. Kenan plays a high school student eagerly looking for his summer vacation, who winds up getting into a car accident in his mom's car, his mom's automobile that he misappropriated. And the cause of this auto accident is Kel, Ed's character, skating across the street.
Right.
Kenan runs into Sinbad, who plays his teacher, and now has to spend his summer working a Good Burger to work off the bill to rebuild Sinbad's car.
Right.
And that is pretty much the plot.
Absolutely.
Because in Kenan now working at Good Burger, he develops a friendship with Kel, and the two of them work to bring about the demise of Mondo Burger, because Mondo Burger is actively working to bring about the demise of Good Burger.
Sure.
That pretty much is the plot. You've got silly hijinks ensue, as it were.
It's a kid's movie.
It's a kid's movie. There's the talk of a romance between Kenan's character and Shar Jackson's character, because she plays another employee at Good Burger. They have a relationship that kind of like bubbles out of nothing, then seemingly disintegrates out of nothing, only to be rekindled at the end out of nothing.
It's all pretty chaste.
It's all pretty chaste. It's a teen movie.
And you keep saying teen, but I feel like target audience for this was probably 12.
They're probably right. See, but that's the problem.
Like they're older, but all that in the Nickelodeon machine.
It's probably 12 to 15 years old.
I think you're really pushing it.
We're probably pushing it with 15, but I think they're hoping for the 15-year-old.
All right,
because they're hoping for that slightly older, all that crowd. That is what they hoped graduated to Kenan and Kel.
Right.
Kenan and Kel graduated out of all that,
right?
Because they wanted to do slightly age up,
sure,
comedy.
Okay,
not much, but a little aged up.
Still Nickelodeon.
But the little bit that goes a long way in this film, everybody's pretty much hamming it up. The kids are doing whatever they do. Kenan Thompson, I think, grows into a comic performer on Saturday Night Live. In here, graduated from all that in Kenan and Kel. Kenan Thompson is pretty much, he's still a young guy. I think he may be the older one. I think he might be 20. So, but he's still pretty much doing riffs of what he's seen before.
Sure.
He's throwing in a little bit of, Eddie Murphy. He's throwing a little bit of Martin Lawrence. He's got a couple of, pratfalls that he takes in the movie. He's trying to be like a little bit of you don't know whether or not he's supposed to be cool or whether he's not supposed to be a little bit more innocent. He's trying to play it both ways, but that's because the character is not really fully written, and that's because him as an actor, he's doing what he's seen before. He's doing a little bit of he's probably trying to find the marriage between Will Smith and Martin Lawrence in Bad Boys, and probably do riffs of both in this film. Right. Kel Mitchell as Ed is playing someone who is really in a world and a movie of his own.
Yes.
He is just totally on non sequiturs.
Yeah.
He is going for the obvious joke. He's got a voice that is grating as hell. Then it kind of grows on you, but then it gets grating again. And his shtick, which is born directly from the sketch Good Burger, keeps playing on and on and on and on and on in this movie until it gets tired, and then maybe has a few laughs, and then you grow tired of it again, or at least I did.
Right.
And the problem is that when you blow this up into a movie, it has to go somewhere. It has to grow. That character should grow as well. And there's moments where you think the character is going to grow. There's a moment that happens where the two of them are sitting on top of Good Burger, and Kel, who we're never introduced to his family, his home life at all. As far as we know, this guy eats, sleeps Good Burger. He takes a shower in his Good Burger clothes.
Yeah.
Except when he is in drag, he is walking around in his Good Burger beanie for the entire movie.
Yes.
But there's a scene that takes place on the top of Good Burger where you think you're going to get a little bit of a window into who he is inside. Because he talks about, how much he appreciates the friendship that is developing with Kenan. And it goes nowhere. And I know you're saying, well, where'd you expect it to go in this movie?
Yes, it's Good Burger, Lynn.
Well, okay. While you don't expect it to go necessarily anywhere, you expect for that to at least now be the signal that there's going to be maybe a bit of a turn in their friendship and a turn in how they relate to one another. And it doesn't. And I just found it very disappointing.
See, disappointment implies expectation.
Mm-hmm.
You can't be disappointed in something if you had no expectations.
You had no expectations of?
No, because I came to it appropriately enough the exact same way you just came to it. I 100% agree with you. And as you were saying it, as you said it, I kind of scrolled through my head to try and think of film adaptations of sketches that worked. And I got Wayne's World.
Yep.
And I might be like I like Ladies Man, but I'm not going to fight for Ladies. Like Ladies Man is just a weird movie.
It is.
But I think you're 100% correct. Best case scenario, a film based on a sketch very rarely works, just sort of baked in. B, this is a sketch from a kids show. And you can say 15 if you want, but I've seen clips of Kenan and Kel. I've seen the studio audience at Kenan and Kel that they talk to before the show starts.
That's right, because it was filmed on Universal Lot.
Oh yeah, filmed in that freak show in Florida where they do all this stuff. Those kids 11, 12, 13.
Okay.
Like this is a kid movie. So that I didn't go into it expecting anything other than this. There were two interesting parts of this film to me. Well, three, kind of. The first part, you have a cameo by Shaq.
Oh yeah,
like Shaquille O'Neal shows up for a second. George Clinton shows up for a second. They have an extended little bit,
like music video,
right? To Flashlight, the classic Parliament song, which for me, someone like me who's always interested in clearances and this, somebody had to pay for that.
Well, George Clinton got paid.
Right. Abe Vigoda is in it. It's, even Sinbad, like Sinbad is in it. Like I was fascinated by the kind of latent money part of it. Like Nickelodeon put a little, like spent a little bit of money.
Okay.
I mean, look,
I don't think had to spend but so much money to get Sinbad and Abe Vigoda.
No. But I'm saying,
and even George Clinton in 1997.
I'm saying there's a certain sheen that you can tell this comes out of a machine. Okay. There's a sheen to it that you can tell is part of a machine that you get with these Nickelodeon movies, that you get with these Disney movies, even right now, that kind of spin out of this machine. Speaking of that, and we said put a pin in it.
Dan Schneider,
who plays the manager of Good Burger. When I saw him on the screen, I actually said, "Oh snap, that's Dan Schneider." Dan Schneider for someone like me, like when I think of him, I remember him on Head of the Class. But Dan Schneider was one of the real masterminds of Nickelodeon's 90s,
their whole
kid slate. But over the past 10 years, there's been a lot of very vague, very legalese discussion about Dan Schneider and his behavior on the sets and in this world. And it was fascinating seeing him in the midst of it because he was, he's best known as a writer. He was best known as a creator. Like he didn't have a lot of on-screen presence during this period because he was, a creator. So that was like, oh my goodness, it's Dan Schneider. It's like, it was like just very weird seeing him. And then I have to say, I am interested in Kenan Thompson's career.
Okay.
Like I think Kenan Thompson, I first and foremost, I don't think Kenan Thompson gets the respect he should get.
No, I agree with that.
For what he has accomplished. It is difficult to think of another child performer who has seamlessly moved into an adult career like Kenan Thompson in front of the camera.
Growing up in front of the camera.
I mean, like I'm thinking of people who've done it as well. Like I'm pulling out like Kurt Russell from the old Disney films. And you know, certainly someone like Kim Fields.
I think that's who I was going to pull.
Right. But this is a young man who grew up in front of the camera, continues to be a very well-respected, a very successful performer. And because there is no moment where it all goes bad, like it's kind of hard, you know, something like Different Strokes, where it's hard to watch Different Strokes because it's like you see the train wreck on the horizon. It's nice. It was actually nice seeing him so young, knowing that his whole future was going to unfold the way it does. And we were talking about Phil Hartman during the top five. I like Kenan Thompson on Saturday Night Live a lot because he is one of those utility players that we talk about. Like, he's had a couple of breakout characters on the show, and you know, like, speaking of bizarre, like I'm obsessed with What's Up With That. Like I will eat up 20 minutes watching What's Up With That clips. But he's a great utility player, and even in this film, where Kel, like you said, Kel is like, his character is like he wandered in from Pee-wee's Playhouse. Yeah. Like, he's really the one with the jokes. Kenan is there to kind of move the thing along.
Move the story along.
Like, he's kind of the straight man. And they do have chemistry. That you understand why these two spun out of all of the kids that were on there. Like, I understand how, if you're 11, if you're 12, if you're 13, you watched all that, which was basically a junior Saturday Night Live. Yeah. And you pointed to those two and said, I like the way those two bounce off of each other. So just for that, but as far as anything, this film was exactly what I thought it was going to be. And much like the Goofy movie, I completely understand why this holds a special place in Black people's heart who are younger than me. But it's you know.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I see why it holds a good a special place. However, unlike the Goofy movie, I think that if you know, people who have that sweet spot for Good Burger, if they return to Good Burger, I think that sweet spot would slowly begin to sour. And I think the Goofy movie is good enough that it kind of
stands up.
It stands up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I got an interesting sliding door experiment for you, though.
Okay.
Because I agree that there is chemistry between Kenan and Kel. And I myself had to watch some YouTube clips of them on their show.
Yeah.
And on all that. One, to just, you know, prove to myself that that wasn't Kel's real voice.
Right.
As in Good Burger. And two, to kind of like see them actually, to see, and therefore to actually see Kel as Kel.
Right.
With Kenan. And therefore to really see their chemistry. Because I think that the Ed character in Good Burger is so absurd that while there is some chemistry, there's also a little bit of like button of the heads of the character.
Right.
Right. But my sliding door experiment is, I wonder what this film or subsequent films might have been had if Kenan Thompson, let's say this is the end of the road for him and Kenan and Kel. If he maybe then ties, you know, hitches up with Marcus Houston. Because I thought in just the two little bits in the beginning of the film, because Marcus Houston is in and out of the movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe it's also just their visual together. I kind of like them together. And I would have been interested in seeing those two bounce off one another going forward.
Well, what the sliding door that I thought you were going to say is there a universe where Kel became the more public figure than Kenan? Like Kenan, of the two, obviously Kenan is the one who's had the most solo success. And I'm going to say the same thing for yours that I'm going to say that I would have said for mine. I think he would have been just as successful with Marcus Houston because the secret ingredient is Kenan Thompson.
Yeah, see that. Yeah,
like I think Kenan Thompson, again, back to him being this great utility player, bounces off.
He works
of everyone.
Yeah,
even his short-lived NBC sitcom, which wasn't that good. It was sort of there. Like
that's what it was.
Like I ended up watching like 7 or 8 episodes just because like you kind of turn to it on whatever on demand, and then they play the other one.
Yeah.
They just keep playing episodes. He's really good with Chris Redd on there. He's really good with Don. How did I just forget Don? Whatchamacallit's name from Miami Vice?
Don Johnson.
He's really good with Don Johnson. Like I think Kenan is just really good with like he's a wonderful collaborator. So I think he would have been great with Marcus Houston.
Yeah,
because I think he would have been great with everybody.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you. Like I dig the sliding door of Kel maybe being a little bit more successful. I just don't like you. I didn't see it.
I don't know what his path would have been.
Yeah.
Like I think Kenan Thompson's management and his guy, I thought it was absolutely brilliant that they got him on Saturday Night Live.
Well, I mean,
because he really just graduated.
Shout out to him.
Right. Like he graduates. Like it's like he graduated. Again, he's been training to be on Saturday Night Live since he was a kid. And it's seamless.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, look, this is good burger.
Farrell Blackwell says that Marcus Houston would have thought he was the real talent and insisted on singing and dancing in every scene. I don't think so. You got to remember, this is a younger Marcus Houston. And while he is singing at that point, I think he's also somebody who's trying to find his way in both worlds. And I think that I just would have been interested.
And he was a pretty funny kid.
He's a funny kid.
Was he like on Sister?
He was on Sister.
Yeah, like whenever I saw him in the 90s, I would say that's a funny kid.
There's a reason why he stood out when he was immature. It's not just because of his look, but he had a presence.
Right.
And I think I actually think that him and Kenan Kel would have. I mean Kenan Thompson.
But again, I think that's a real tough cohort. Like just who, like we're talking about the immature kids. We're talking about, I mean, even Tia and Tamara for the most part. But like I think that kind of cohort,
they kind of made it.
I mean, kind of.
I mean, they did.
After Sister, I mean, they
did Sister, and then
one of them was on the game.
But I think one of them on the game. I think one of them, or maybe both of them, had like a little like talk show for a minute.
I think they've done fine, but again, I think that cohort of 90s kind of young, they were like young teenagers, like even Kyra Pratt, who I think is amazingly talented, but like she's done voice work. After
that's the gravy train.
You're right. She was on, what was it, 1-on-1 with
I know you
do with the High Top Fade, but none of them have moved into that next step as successfully as Kenan Thompson.
Yeah,
like that whole
I guess
cohort.
So.
I mean, hell, Brandy after Moesha kind of floundered
for a little bit. I mean, she definitely is. I mean, she's still doing her thing. But no, I see. I see. Even the okay. But is the argument to be made that yes, he gets into Saturday Night Live,
right?
And he rides it out.
Yes.
And then, as far as I know, I think he's still riding it out.
Yeah, but my God, like I haven't read Live from New York, but just sort of you kind of know about this stuff over the years. Saturday Night Live is a meat grinder.
True.
Especially for black actors.
Well, yeah. And is the argument to be made that, yes, he gets into Saturday Night Live, but he doesn't break out.
He doesn't break out. True.
You know,
but,
and he has one or two attempts like Fat Albert.
Right. Is Fat Albert post Saturday Night
no,
Live?
No, it's in the middle. Like, he's on Saturday Night Live when Fat Albert.
Wow, I don't think I knew that.
Yeah.
I don't think I knew that. Yeah, I mean, look, I give him credit for dealing with that Saturday Night Live meat grinder.
Mm-hmm.
I really,
I do,
especially
and riding it out
as a black comic,
cashing them checks.
Like, you know, everybody. I love Eddie Murphy on Saturday Night Live. You love Eddie Murphy. Everybody loves Eddie Murphy on Saturday Night Live. But Eddie Murphy famously damn near had to have his own show in the midst of Saturday Night Live, like write his own material, do all his own stuff. Has there been a more successful black comedian on Saturday Night Live?
To come out of Saturday Night Live?
No, to be on Saturday Night Live. Like, I'm a Saturday Night Live person.
That's why. Wait a minute. I mean,
a more successful,
like, cast member.
Okay,
that's what I'm asking. That's what I'm asking.
On Saturday Night Live.
No, I mean, there hasn't been a more successful cast member, period, than Eddie Murphy. No.
I mean, on Saturday Night Live, like their actual time on Saturday Night Live. Eddie Murphy is on there, what, 3 years? And then leaves? Is it
3? Yeah.
Is it 3 whole years before he leaves?
Maybe.
You know, Damon Wayans washes out immediately. Chris Rock washes out immediately.
No,
Tracy Morgan.
Okay, but again, they're probably, if you singularly, there has not been a more successful cast member on Saturday Night Live. If you want to argue, maybe John Belushi, but John Belushi is probably the only one that comes close to him.
I'm not talking about post Saturday Night Live careers.
No, you're talking about on Saturday Night Live. I'm saying,
like, while I'm on,
I'm saying,
like, my Saturday Night Live career.
Yes. While they were on Saturday Night Live, there's probably John Belushi is the only other cast member who would rival Eddie Murphy's time as far as what they did on that show.
Yeah, I think Eddie Murphy again.
And he probably and if you want to say Eddie eclipsed John Belushi, I'm not going to argue with it.
But again, I think the Eddie Murphy stuff, and now we're just on a Saturday Night Live train because I think we've said all we have to say.
We're done with Cook Burger.
Eddie Murphy famously has to write his own stuff. Like, Eddie Murphy is so successful on Saturday Night Live because this meat grinder that I'm talking about with the white boys in the writing room and them pitching sketches and everything that everyone says about Saturday Night Live and getting your material on, Eddie Murphy removes himself from that.
Well, to be fair, to be fair, his final year on Saturday Night Live, and it's interesting because I just today listened to a conversation about this.
That's a good conversation.
On the Mark Maron's podcast.
Mm-hmm.
No, that wasn't even Mark Maron. It was on Bill Simmons' podcast. His final year, he meets with NBC,
mm-hmm.
with Paramount, the movie studio,
mm-hmm.
because he's ready to move on. You know,
right?
48 hours has hit. I think Trading Places had hit as well. He's ready to move on, and NBC, and I think it was Rune Arledge. I could be wrong about the person. No, Dick Ebersol. He makes the deal with him. He said, okay, I hear you on that, and I can recognize he's ready to move on. Eddie, can you do this for me? Can you give me it's like this summer? Can you give me, let's say, 8 to 10 sketches?
Right.
Give me 8 to 10 sketches. We'll do them this summer. We'll bring in an audience just for you. We'll film them, and we'll pepper them in throughout the year.
Saying.
So when you're saying like he literally had to, it's because of the deal that they made.
Right. But see, even that, like even what you just said, Eddie Murphy has the agency to write his own. First of all, like you said, that season, is he in half the episodes?
They kind of pepper him in.
Right. They pepper him in.
They throw in the scenes, you know, the
it's
skits
his
in.
material.
Yep, because he wrote it.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Again, Eddie Murphy's success, in my mind, is an indictment of how Black comics are treated on Saturday Night Live from the beginning to, frankly, damn near right now. And the fact that Kenan Thompson has been able to navigate that so successfully.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I'm sure he comes up with his own, you know, I'm sure he pitches his own ideas and stuff. But when you watch him just, again, as a utility player,
mm-hmm.
he's so good.
No,
he's
he
been
is
so good for so long. Yeah, I think he's the real Saturday Night Live Black success story.
He
because everyone else has to leave Saturday Night Live.
Yeah, okay. I still only push back on that a little bit because while he is the glue and he is a success story, I only because the wording you're saying, like he is the success story, the Black
right
Saturday Night Live,
right, yeah.
I can't say that because Eddie Murphy is such
but
a superstar on the show.
Right, but he's a superstar on the show in spite of the show.
Well, no. He is still working. Like those first couple of seasons, he's still in team with them. As a matter of fact, his first season, he blows up so much that they get rid of damn near everybody except him and Joe Piscopo.
Right. Which then immediately he gets to write his own stuff.
Well, yes, but he still is the star of the story, and he still is very much he still is a team player. I think even he will push back that he's not trying to be a team player, even though he realizes that he's blown up.
I was about to say, like you watch that season just like I watched that.
I'm just saying.
I don't know how many sketches it was. Eddie was over on the side playing the deli owner.
No. He's you know, look.
Wow. I was trying to think who else was on the show with him besides Joe Piscopo. And like hell, I don't even remember who else was part of the cast with them. Anyway, the real question. A friend of mine sent me a list of all of the Beatles songs that Billy Preston contributed to. And you know, famously, John Lennon wanted to invite Billy Preston to be the fifth Beatle. Like the Beatles really did love Billy Preston, which always makes me think of my favorite super random Eddie Murphy Saturday Night Live bit where he was Clarence.
Oh yeah,
the fifth Beatle that they kicked out and they stole all his good ideas. There's no way the Harvard educated white boys who wrote for the Harvard Lampoon and now they're in the writer's room in New York in 1983 come up with Clarence.
No,
the fifth Beatle.
No, they didn't.
That John and Paul kicked out and stole all his good ideas.
I don't know.
So
I don't know. I could see that working with Eddie on that.
Oh, working with Eddie? Is that what we call it? Is that what we're calling it? Working with Eddie? CIL, my landlord. He was working with him. James Brown Celebrity Hot Tub. That was a collaborative piece as well. But the real question, of course, is would you recommend Good Burger?
No, the real question from Farrell Blackwell is Eddie Murphy as Gumby, Mr. Rogers, and James Brown.
Oh, James Brown Celebrity Hot Tub is so bizarre. Like I'm always going to James Brown Celebrity. How do you even come up with that? Like, how do you come up with James Brown Celebrity Hot Tub?
It's funny. It's funny. Listening to the interview with Dick Ebersol, he talks about how Mr. Rogers actually went to Saturday Night Live about Eddie Murphy's Mr. Robinson sketch, and saying that, you know, he had nothing against Eddie Murphy himself, of course. And he did agree that he thought the sketch was funny, but he did take a little bit of umbrage to them kind of like lampooning, you know, his, you know, what he was trying to get across.
Yes.
And Dick Ebersol says, like, you know, I understand. Would you like to speak with Eddie?
Yeah.
And they tried to get him in contact with Eddie, but Eddie was like not there, or he couldn't be there. So
he's probably on the moon with Rick James and Patti LaBelle.
So Mr. Rogers went about, you know, he went about his business. He understood. You know,
it's funny. I'm trying to remember. Like, I know he did The Pimp, but did he do any other? And did Eddie Murphy do Gumby when he hosted a couple of months ago?
More than a few months ago. I don't.
Yeah, like he did Mr. Robinson. I think he did, and I can't believe I just forgot the Pimps. Velvet Jones.
I
know he did. Right. Velvet Jones. Like, yeah, Velvet Jones.
He probably did Gumby. I don't remember.
Yeah, but yeah, it is funny how Mr. Robinson endures.
I mean, they all endure. Yeah. Gumby, Mr. Robinson, they all endure. I actually like Gumby. I preferred Mr. Robinson. I thought that was funny, but I do remember. I do remember to this day sitting on the edge of my bed, cracking up on the whole entire episode when Gumby gets shot. Oh my God, that was so.
I mean, Buckwheat.
Buckwheat. It was Buckwheat.
Buckwheat got shot. Yeah,
Buckwheat that got shot. It was Buckwheat that got shot. That's right. Right. I forgot all about Buckwheat.
You forget all about Buckwheat.
Oh my God.
Look, I'm telling you. I stand by that. Like it was Saturday Night Live, but then it was the Eddie Murphy show embedded.
Yeah.
In Saturday Night Live.
All right, let's keep it moving.
So,
would I recommend Good Burger?
Would you recommend Good Burger?
Okay. No, I can't recommend Good Burger.
Okay.
I can't recommend Good Burger. If you have fond member berries of Good Burger, God bless you. Go ahead, return to it. Keep watching it. Keep loving Good Burger. I think for you're better served just remembering Good Burger than returning to Good Burger.
Sure.
That would be my call.
Sure. Of course, I'm not recommending Good Burger. This isn't something that you recommend. I think Good Burger is arguably an important Black pop cultural artifact for the reasons that we've talked about, just where it sits in the career of someone I think is an important Black comedian, Kenan Thompson. But there's no reason to actually watch Good Burger.
Is there a reason for a Good Burger 2?
No.
There's still kind of like whispers of them doing a sequel.
No. You know, as robustly as I'm defending Kenan Thompson, I don't really follow him in his career that closely. I get this, like I know there's some hesitance for him to be with Kel. Like, I feel like I've heard Kel Mitchell say that Kenan Thompson is the reason that they haven't done stuff together. And you kind of get it, like, you know, I don't want to look backwards, this, that, and other, but I do think he's at the point now where he could, and it wouldn't put a dent in his legacy. Like,
yeah, it wouldn't put a dent in a
generation of people that grew up.
It wouldn't put a dent. It wouldn't put a dent in his legacy. However, whatever his moves post Saturday Night Live, it could stifle them.
Yeah,
and as many people who have, like I said, the member berries for the movie, the time to return to it, I think, is past.
Yeah. Well, I think, I mean, certainly his sitcom not working out was not in the plan.
Exactly.
Like, I really do think that was, you know, again, talking about him being part of the machine. Like, I think Lorne Michaels really set him up and said, okay, you made your bones. here on the farm. Now you get a sitcom, and it just didn't work out.
Yeah, shame.
Yeah. So there you go.
There you go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is our review of Good Burger. Before we reiterate what we're reviewing next week, I invite you all to check out the Micheaux Mission, 2 Men, 1 podcast. Every black film ever made. Go to MicheauxMission.com and hit swag, where you can check out all the cool designs and gifts that we have available to you for your buying pleasure by way of our good friends at TeePublic. You can leave us a voicemail, 215-867-9666. Hello, Sophie. If you want to leave us a voicemail, ladies and gentlemen, tell Vince and Len what is on your mind, and your voicemail may actually get played on the show. Email us at micheauxmission@gmail.com. Follow the Micheaux Mission on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Micheaux Mission. Subscribe at Micheaux Mission on YouTube and Twitch, and wherever you check out our podcasts. Please give us a 5-star rating and a review, because that helps people find our show. Help us make our way to 200 reviews by the end of the year. The Micheaux Mission is also a proud member of The Podglomerate, thepodglomerate.com. They make podcasts work. All right. Next week on the Micheaux Mission, ladies and gentlemen, Vincent and I will be reviewing from 2022. Matter of fact, from last week.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Honk for Jesus, Save Your Soul. That is the film that we are reviewing next week. You have been warned. Watch it now.
Yeah.
Join the conversation.
Yeah. This is a film that we've both been following since it was in the film festivals,
and
it got a lot of buzz.
Yes,
and then when it dropped, it got a lot of buzz. So
yes,
periodically we'll see a film and say, "Wow, I really want to talk about this." Oh, wait a minute, we have a movie podcast.
If only I had a format in which I could talk about.
If only. So. Next week
here on the Micheaux Mission. Until then, he's Vince, I'm Len, and in parting we say,
we'll see you when it's time to meet again.